Hi, this is Misha. In this video, we're going to take a closer look at the Japanese Type I. This rifle was used by the Japanese Navy and is really an interesting mix of features from both the Carcano and the Arisaka Type 38. The Type I has an interesting history. The Japanese Army had been fighting heavily in mainland China since at least 1931 and sporadically for years before that. And the Army was always given priority over the Navy when it came to arms procurement. And by 1936, the Navy just did not have enough weapons for its needs. It wanted to have guns on board ships. It also wanted to have rifles to equip its special landing forces. And since Japan was allied with Italy and Germany, it turned to Italy to help out. It contracted with Italy to produce the Type I. This fires the 6.5 by 50 semi-rimmed Arisaka cartridge. And from there is a mix of features, as I said. We still take the Japanese Type 30 bayonet. So let's just take a look. Here I've got a Italian 9141 short long infantry rifle, but it was produced around the same time. And we have an earlier production Type 38. From the Carcano, we have the very similar bolt system. To release on the Carcano, we just pull back and pull the trigger and the bolt slides out. And we do much the same on the Type I. Type I bolt. And Carcano bolt. They use the same safety, the same striker system. The biggest difference? Well, there really isn't one, to be honest with you. They're very, very similar bolts. This one is a little bit heavier, a little bit thicker, the Type I. Very similar knobs and all that. The trigger system, which is obviously internal, is also the same. Anyone who's ever fired a Carcano knows what I mean. They have a very distinctive feel to the trigger. And the way the receiver is cut. It's a split bridge in the back here. And very much the same for the Type I back here. So the bolt and the receiver are very, very similar. Put this back together. Easy enough to install. Between 1937 and roughly 1939, maybe 1940, Italian arsenals would deliver to Japan between 60 and 120,000, just depending on which source you go with. Really based on serials and the numbers I've seen, it seems like it was probably closer to 120,000. They had a good number. Either way, they received a reasonable supply. From the Type 38, from the Arisaka, we have a two-piece buttstock design, the same. We use a very similar magazine with release in the trigger guard as well. This is from the Type I. This is from the Arisaka. So while our receiver is very Carcano, as is our bolt and trigger, our magazine is straight from the Arisaka, including its quick release. The sights are also very similar. This one has a broken spring, sorry. I've got a couple of these. Did you get the idea? Sliding ladder. Same as on this one. And as a result, the upper hand guards are also very similar. As are the barrel bands. Both held on with spring clips. And the front sights are the same, or at least close enough for government work. And again, the Type I takes the Arisaka Type 30 bayonet. The Type I does not have cutouts for a dust cover, nor should it have the chrysanthemum, since these were primarily, they were built overseas in Italy, and they were used by the Japanese Navy, not the Army, so they should not have a chrysanthemum. The sling swivel in the back is also pretty much the same. So from the Carcano, we have the receiver system, and really the furniture and all that is more from the Arisaka. Before we go, one other small variation. When these were delivered, they had relatively long lengths of pole stock on them. And they're made out of a harder, denser wood from Europe versus the Arisaka. So they had a little more weight and length of pull. As time would go on, the Japanese would modify some with a shorter stock. They would just cut the stock down a wee bit. Some sources say that the Italians had made them in shorter stocks. This could be, this could be as well. I don't know, doesn't matter. But some Type I's would have a shorter buttstock. This would also save a little bit on weight and was better suited to the Japanese soldier. Just another example here of a Type I. Deliveries from Italy would be over by 1940, but the Type I would continue to see service all the way through World War II. It would be used extensively by the Japanese Navy's Special Landing Forces. It would also be kept on board ship lockers, you know, for defense and boarding and all that kind of stuff. So some Type I's are in very, very nice shape just because they didn't see a lot of actual use. That said, these guns were, generally speaking, well liked. In fact, some of them were chosen for marksman rifles. It was felt the little bit of extra weight over the Arisaka and a little bit thicker stock lended itself better to steady your fire. If you have any questions or comments, we really welcome them below. We really appreciate you tuning in. If you liked the video, please click like. If you haven't already subscribed and you have the time, we'd really appreciate it if you do that as well. As always, this is Misha, and we'll catch you next time.